Hello and welcome to Pause for Payments with Christy. I am Christy Duncan, for those of you who don't know me, and I am really excited to have with me today Sybil Crasto, who is Head of Payments and Cards at Volt Bank and based in Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Sybil.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for having me on.
I am so excited about this discussion today. It is so fun to talk about neobanks and what they're doing to disrupt and innovate the payments markets. And clearly, Volt is doing some really exciting, fantastic things. But the Australian market is really interesting. You've had a number of neobanks in the market over the past few years, and there's been a little bit of shifting of that landscape. We had Zinja Bank folded. We had 86400 sold to one of the big incumbent banks, NAB. And so we're all watching closely to see what Volt does and how you continue to make strides in the market. So can we start today, Sybil, by talking a little bit about your career journey? You haven't always been at Volt, obviously, because Volt hasn't been here forever. But tell us about your role at Volt and how did you get to be there?
Sure. I am currently head of payments and cards at Volt Bank. I've got over 18 years of experience, and I've not always been a banker. I started off banking, although in 1998, I believe, and it was in the technology space with ABN AMRO Bank, and then did all these small roles in technology, in operations, and in electronic banking in those days. That sort of grounded me and gave me a lot of experience in transaction banking. So that was really the foundation, I believe, of my success. So I've really, learned from the ropes from really base level. From ABN AMRO, I moved on to Citi and really did a lot of roles there too, always client-facing, product management, and finally left Citi as head of liquidity management services for the whole Middle East and North Africa region. So really, I think for me, it was a career that I've sort of just driven myself to learn more and expand roles. And sometimes it's not always been a rise up, but it's been a horizontal sort of learning experience. But that is what has sort of given me success. When I came to Australia, I joined Westpac's institutional bank, and I left Westpac as head of liquidity management and payment solutions. I took a year off and then was trying to figure out what's next. And I got the opportunity at Volt. And Volt at that time was focused on retail banking. And from then on, we have sort of moved strategy from retail banking, but we also want to be a platform bank. And that's been a tremendous learning for me. So I've really enjoyed my last 2 years at Volt, learning everything in technology, spanning cloud right up to product management.
Wow, what a great career journey. Can you tell us a little bit also, clearly you're now in Australia, but it sounds like you didn't start there. Tell us about the geographic journey as well.
Well, I've lived most of my life in the Middle East. So it's always been, based out of Dubai, UAE, but like I said, when I was with Citi, I managed the Middle East and North Africa region. So there was about 15 countries. Citi was present in quite a few. We had partner banks in the other. And so learning domestic payment systems across those countries, really bedding down, what's the good, the bad, and the ugly in every single payment domestic environment. It was fascinating. And it was and as the payments people say, a payment is a payment is a payment, but there is so much nuances when it comes to domestic payments, right? So it's something that has grounded me in the payments world.
Well, that's such a great opportunity, I think, to see payments, how they work in different markets, because you're right, no two markets are the same, and you can learn one from the other, and who's doing things right and who can learn from other markets. And And it helps you, I think, when you're on this big innovation curve. So that brings me to talk about Volt. And for those of our audience who might not be familiar with Volt or Australian banking in general, can you tell us a little bit about where Volt sits in the giant Australian banking map?
Yeah, sure. Volt is one of the Australia's first neobanks. In fact, it was the first Australian neobank to be granted its full ADI license, which is an authorized deposit taking institution, in 2019. Since then, we've been in sort of product build phase. We launched a savings account in 2020, which is in beta, and we have recently launched our spend account, which is also in beta. So it was established, I believe, to create a much needed competition in the Australian banking industry. Our vision is to be a full service bank, offering the same suite of services as the big four eventually, but providing a vastly superior client experience, driven primarily from a digital experience. Currently, our priority is to deliver services to our existing saves customers and launch cash management and transaction accounts, both in what we call the Bold Direct business, which is our retail business, and the partner channels, which is our ADI and non-ADI partners. So Volt was established to create much needed competition in the Australian banking industry. Our vision is to be a full service bank offering the same suite of products eventually as the big four, but providing a vastly superior experience. Currently, our priority is to deliver services to existing Save customers through our retail direct channel and the launch of our cash management and transaction accounts, both again in the direct and partner channel space. At the same time, we're also working on our banking as a service platform, which is a new buzzword in the industry. But we believe we will be the next big disruptor in Australian banking.
Awesome. Wow. Never a dull moment in your life, for sure. So this is all fantastic, and you're doing all this innovation. But I want to talk now a little bit about customers, and all banks need customers. And what I want to understand is, as a customer, tell me, why should I choose a neobank? I mean, of course, you want me to choose Volt, but why should I choose a neobank versus one of the heritage banks, if you will?
Right. For many of our customers, especially the younger generations, it's primarily the ease of convenience of digital banking. Everything can be done through the app, from signing up, opening in the account, and the customer support through the in-app messaging. We've got 3 seconds. Once you've opened a save account with us, you can open a spend account in under 3 minutes. So that's the type of speed we're looking at in the account opening space. Our savings account has competitive interest rates and comes with a no strings attached. This means that there are no deposit conditions or withdrawal limits. You can earn the same a full variable rate on your savings account. Volt, in fact, was the first neobank to sort of have this concept of no catches on variable interest rates. We also have the tools to gain better, that these clients and these younger generations, to help them out to sort of have better control of their savings. Like our savings challenge in our app, it sort of helps this generation and encourages them to save a lot more and be more proactive about it.
Wow, how cool is that? I love it. It's like banking 2.0. So in your role, Sybil, at Volt, you're playing a really important role at building the infrastructure, like what actually makes Volt a bank. Can you tell me, how does that infrastructure differ from the infrastructure at an incumbent bank?
Yeah, sure. That's a very good question, Christy. Volt currently is the only neobank in Australia that sort of runs a platform model. And it's similar to the model that Starling Bank in the UK, which adopted. And that's allowed Starling to scale and reach, break even more quickly than its other competitors. So that's the model we are absolutely adopting. The strategy involves a more sophisticated technology build with greater investment, which which is helping us sort of progress Volt's platform model and allows the companies that partner with us to use Volt in, whether they are in the retail or the property or wealth, education, any sectors, to offer banking services natively through their applications.
Fantastic. So I want to switch gears here a little bit and talk about neobanks in general. And we were talking earlier about some of the neobanks in Australia that have already disappeared from the map. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think, look, whatever happened in the industry it's not good for anyone, right? But I think it's a reminder for us that modern technology and infrastructure and even an edgy sort of client experience is not enough for longevity in this industry. It takes substantial amount of investment to scale up to the level that will really challenge the incumbent. I mean, the big four banks and neobanks absolutely need to be well funded. We have to have a strong balance sheet and really longer term product offerings. Particularly in Vol's case, our initial focus, while we are building out the deposit side of the balance sheet, we also will focus on the low risk lending products like home mortgages. And we are right now in, piloting this phase of the product.
Wow, that growth is so exciting. So Sybil, I've just got a couple more questions here, but the first one is, looking at the Australian banking world, what do you see in the next 2-3 years happening? I mean, I know that we've got lots of innovation, but where do you think it's going to go? What's it going to look like in the next couple of years?
Well, I think it's absolutely going to be exciting for sure, and especially for neobanks, right? Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty for sure on how we'll survive, given what happened to 86-400 in Zinja. But it's all part of being the industry disruptor, and it's no different for the banking industry. You win some, you lose some. A key advantage of neobanks is flexibility, and based on the technology that we use. And I see that is vital to the evolution of banking in the near future. Volt, for instance, is building, like I said, the BaaS platform, and that will now allow us to full service banking at the scale that is required with just a minimal amount of investments compared to the big four. We have strategic partnerships in place to help us do this. This will help us accelerate growth and strengthen our position, and hopefully be a force to be reckoned with.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Really, really exciting. So my last question that I ask all of my guests, Sybil, is about your career pearls of wisdom that you might share with your younger self earlier in your career. Can you tell us, what would you tell somebody, the rising stars in our audience who might be in their 30s and just kind of starting out in their careers? What would you tell them?
I thought long and hard about this question, and it comes up so often. And I say, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Explore uncharted territories. And like I said, in my personal experience, I wasn't a banker. 10 years, I wasn't in banking at all, and then I sort of took the leap of faith and I said, okay, let me join this world of banking, and then got into payments. It's what you learn and how you learn and how you grow. And don't be afraid to ask, to reach out. And as women, we've made great strides in sort of breaking that proverbial glass ceiling. But there's so much more to be done. To other women out there, I'd say, if you are in a position to do so, empower others like you who are navigating in the industry. And as a personal goal, absolutely reach out to, the women in their 30s and, like you said, just reaching and climbing that ladder to sort of help them get up there.
Well, those are great words of wisdom, Sybil, and ones that we can all take to heart. And I love that, empowering others and continuous learning. I mean, clearly you've had some number of really interesting roles in different markets and different parts of banking and payments, and look at the cool place you are now. Like 5 years ago, could you have imagined yourself here at this neobank?
Absolutely not. I was embedded and I should say comfortable in the world of big banking. But over the last year, Christy, I have learned so much, and I've just enjoyed getting myself back into a role that I would have done 20 years ago, and get myself hands dirty and start from the beginning. So it's been
Well,
amazing.
congratulations. It's a fantastic career journey, and I'm just so delighted that you shared it with us today in our audience. And we've got some amazing women around the world who listen to these webinars. And I had one Australian woman email me a couple months ago saying she binge watched them all weekend. So it's great that you're sharing your story and your insights. And I love your career journey. It's so fantastic, and you're in a great, exciting place. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Christy, and thanks for the opportunity once again. Wishing you all success with Women in Payments.
Thank you so much. Well, it's been an inspiring discussion, and I've learned a lot about neobanks and how banking is driving innovation in this market, not only in Australia, but around the world. Thank you to Sybil, and thank you to everybody for listening today. I encourage you to join us online for all of our Pause for Payments episodes, and hopefully we'll see you at our conferences this year as well. Thanks, everybody.